was like a 10. Hi everyone, my name is Siamak and this is my geosynthetics podcast. In this episode, I have another special guest, and Morne Breytenbach is my guest today. Morne, welcome to this podcast, and I'll start with our first question about your career. So if you just give myself and the audience a bit of background about your career, basically we just want to know where did you start as an engineer, and then into the geosynthetics, and how did you end up in geosynthetics?
Thanks, Siamak. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I looked up when I actually started in geosynthetics this morning on LinkedIn, because I actually forgot. February 2002, so it's nearly 20 years now.
Okay.
Prior to my geosynthetics career, I was in road construction. So as a student, as a blowy, as they call them in South Africa, I built roads, laid curbs, and then by chance, I saw an advertisement in the newspaper that there's a rep position being advertised by a prominent geosynthetics manufacturer in South Africa.
Yep.
I went for the interview, managed to get the job after 3 interviews.
Okay.
I was literally brought over the fire by everybody in that company to try and get that job.
Yeah.
And the rest is sort of history. So I started with selling non-wovens and drainage solutions in the Southern African market.
Yeah.
From there, I was lucky enough to work for geomembrane installers, a number of them in South Africa. I ended up working for now what's the biggest geosynthetics manufacturer in the world.
Yeah.
At the stage when I was working for them was GSE. I was sales manager for Africa for quite some time.
Okay.
I was again fortunate enough to travel throughout Africa, north, south, east, west. I had some really interesting experiences, traveling throughout Africa. Most of Africa is a third world country, a third world region. Some exciting times, some dangerous times, some scary times even. I was shot at a few times. Especially in the DRC. There was some interesting occasions.
Desert area.
No, it's tropical rainforest. You've got the rebels that are very, very active in the DRC.
All right.
And to maneuver in that country are the clients, the mining houses that normally operate in that area. You need to move with care. And then I'm obviously South African, and then from South Africa with GSE, myself and my family moved over across to Germany. I was lucky enough to live in Hamburg for quite some time.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Can you name a few people when you started? Are they still in the industry?
Yes. Okay. So with KTech, actually, Mr. Peter Davies, who was a previous guest on your podcast, he actually employed me. I got my first job with KTech Engineered Fabrics in South Africa through Peter Davies. We're still in touch from time to time. And then Aquitaine Lining Systems, I worked with them in South Africa, Piet Meyer. And then one of the people who actually had a big influence on my career, Mr. Mike Whitman, the financial director at Aquitaine. Loved working with him. People like Paul Farrell, I don't know if you know them from GSE. Then obviously, I think the most influential person in the geosynthetics industry that I had the privilege to work for was Clifford Gundle.
Oh, yeah.
He's actually the owner of Aquitaine Lining Systems. So I was again lucky enough to have numerous meetings with him and to just learn from him. So that was quite exciting.
That's right.
Then with GSE, there was people like Paul Farrell, old colleague of mine, old German person, old Eckhard Sost.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys will know him. There will be some people in the crowd who does, in the audience. Lovely man, retired now.
Yeah.
Then after some time in the geomembrane industry, I moved across to Huska.
Okay. So that was in Germany.
I actually moved back to South Africa.
Yeah. Okay.
So from South Africa, I moved from Germany. I moved back to South Africa, and then while I was in South Africa, circumstances just we needed to leave the country again as a family, and then I took up employment with Huska as the global business manager for mining. And with that position, I truly covered the globe. I went around the world a few times. I was very lucky. South America, North America, came to Australia a number of times, all over Europe and Eastern Europe, and got a lot of exposure in the global mining industry and how geosynthetics can actually benefit the industry to a great degree.
Yeah.
During that time, Huska, we actually acquired our Australian partner in the mining industry, and luckily I was lucky enough to come over here and found and lead Huska Australia.
Yep. And which year was this?
That was in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went from South Africa, Germany, back to South Africa, and then back to Germany again, and then from Germany, myself and the family, we came across to Australia.
Yeah.
I think we found our forever home now.
Yeah.
We really love Australia.
Yeah.
Great market, great people. It's a paradise basically.
Yeah.
I'm sure you found the same.
Perfect.
Very lucky.
Absolutely. Sounds great. And yeah, lots of travel. I think lots of experience, and then comes with that, and lots of great people that you mentioned some names.
Absolutely.
So, very, very amazing career. So my second question for you, Morne, is about, because every time we talk about geosynthetics, we want to talk about not products but solutions or systems.
True.
And I know you are one of the passionate people about this concept. Yeah. So tell us about your opinion about like maybe some more specialized systems or solutions in geosynthetics.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate and lucky in the fact that my father very early on told me that find what you're passionate about and you'll never work a day in your life. So what I do, I don't believe is work. I'm passionate about geosynthetics, and I will never leave the industry. So my focus throughout my career was certainly mining. And fortunately, in the mining industry, we get cross-pollination from all other industries. There's environmental engineering, hydraulic engineering, geotechnical engineering. So the whole suite of geosynthetics gets used and applied in the mining industry. And that's also where I think the benefit of a systems approach is also becomes apparent, and the value of it is definitely appreciated by the mining industry as well. Because like all of us, they have a product to sell. They want to get their product to the market as quickly as possible. So you want to save them time, save them money, make it safe, and help them to construct or operate in the best and most efficient manner. As a system goes, we are very involved in underground coal mining in Australia. We provide very specialist safety systems for longwall recovery. So as you reach the end of a coal seam, the operator and the asset owner needs to start considering moving their mining equipment from the current seam being mined to the next seam, or to take it above ground if they finish with the mine. Yeah. We design, manufacture, supply, and we provide detailed installation assistance for longwall recovery systems from a mine grid material, a geogrid material that is very high tenacity, slowly knitted polyester, with a very specific flame retardant and anti-static coating. But it's not just the product, it's the way the product is assembled into larger sheets, which we do locally. It's the way installation accessories that has been developed by our partner with our input, is applied underground. It is how all of these different elements are rated and engineered to be able to interact safely and efficiently, to make sure that the mine who is installing the longwall recovery system takes the least amount of time to do so. Yeah. Because you can imagine if they're mining 2,000 tons of coal per hour at $100 a ton, you can do the math. If they take 1 hour longer to install a system, it's massive amounts of money. But the most important aspect of this is for the mine to be able to do it safely. You've got people underground. If anything goes wrong, people lose their lives. That's how serious it is. So we take it very seriously. So we are very certain that every part of our system interacts, works, and is engineered, rated, to be able to work together. Exactly. And we also have, as a company, we have mining people working in the mining industry. It's not geosynthetics experts working in the mining industry, it's mining guys. So they understand how our products can best integrate in how the mining industry operates.
That's right, and that includes like installation people.
Yes, we've got our state-based managers who do go underground and assist with installation, but they actually physically assist. They go down and they work. These guys are miracle workers underground, and they really help the industry and our clients. Very much. Absolutely. Then above ground, we've obviously got these roads and pavement solutions. And currently, especially as the Australian government is using infrastructure development as a vehicle for recovery out of COVID. So there's a tremendous amount of infrastructure development going on, and now with Queensland and Brisbane winning the Olympics, we're obviously going to see even more.
Exactly.
So approaching and making sure that geosynthetic solutions are integrated into infrastructure projects appropriately can definitely help the tax dollar go further.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, so we also, you know, our asphalt reinforcement solutions, we don't just supply a roll of material and leave the contractor or the client to install it on their own. You know, it'll never work. You know, you can buy the best product, but if it's not installed appropriately, you know, it'll fail, and vice versa. You can have a shoddy product, but it's installed well, and then that combination will not work either.
That's right.
So it's in everybody's benefit that we work with our clients, you know, from design all the way through to the final product, and we try and, I don't want to say hold their hand because that might sound condescending, but that, you know, we try and work with the client every step of the way to provide them with the best possible outcome.
The support,
the support, you know.
So maybe we take it to the next level. Like, you know, it's not just the product supply; it's also the support during the installation, during the construction. But beyond that, in terms of the long term, let's say sustainability, and I know again you're quite passionate about sustainability, and as company you guys doing lots of good things in that area, more specifically through innovation. So I just want you to talk about that topic as well.
I mean, our company, you know, our line is ideas, engineers, innovation. You know, so we have ideas, we throw it at our engineers, and we innovate. You know, and we work with engineers like yourselves and other players in the industry. You know, we've, like, if you look at PFAS, this new buzzword, you know, it's an emerging contaminant, a forever chemical that everybody's talking about. You know, we have various active barriers in terms of our TechniSeal active range, with various active materials that goes inside the geosynthetic. You know, we have been very busy with activated carbon and how that is applied and how that can work as adsorbent for various types of chemicals. And very early on in our research, we have found that activated carbon is maybe not the final solution when it comes to PFAS. You know, it definitely has an affinity to long chain PFAS species. And through, you know, rigorous lab and field trial, you know, investigations, we have now developed a modified resin which we have found to adsorb both long chain and short chain PFAS species, and we have found its retention rate also extremely high. We have been lucky enough not to experience any breakthrough from that product, where with activated carbon you get washout pretty early on. So you know, that's definitely, through innovation, we found that sustainability, and especially with PFAS, because you're talking about very small you know, quantities of these materials.
Exactly.
So you need to adsorb it and retain it for as long as possible. Other innovations is, again, you know, we work very closely with the mining industry. We do you know, we have recycled materials, dew grids recycled from 100% recycled polyester. So, you know, when you install asphalt reinforcement, you know, you're already you're prolonging the service life of an asset, either a road or parking lot or runways, taxiways. And if you're able to do this with using a recycled dew grid, you make the sustainable even more sustainable.
Exactly.
You know, so you are taking plastics out of the environment, and you repurposing it, and you are placing it, and you actually having it perform a function.
That's right.
Unfortunately, in Australia, we're not the only company that's doing it, which is great for the industry. You know, one thing that I always not laugh at, but I always look at, is when we talk about traditional, you know, construction materials and geosynthetics. I think geosynthetics have become a traditional construction material now.
I agree.
And I think we do, as an industry, we do ourselves a disservice by keep on referring to geosynthetics as an alternative to traditional. You know, I think we've become the norm now.
Exactly.
I mean, using geosynthetics, you can engineer solutions. You know, you can engineer every single parameter. It makes your life as an engineer so much easier, as having to worry about natural products. So I think it's natural versus synthetic.
Exactly.
And the development and the longevity, you know, that's also a thing that we continuously look at, is which raw material is appropriate for which application. You get polyester, you get our PVAs. When you have high cementitious, high alkaline environments, you should not go for polyester. You use PVA, polyvinyl, alcohol.
Okay.
So it just lasts longer. You prevent hydrolysis from becoming a factor that can impact the structure's integrity. Then there's also, if you're really looking for tensile stiff materials, look at adamants. You can really tailor-make solutions when you look at the type of raw materials that are available out there.
In simple words, this is what I heard somewhere actually. We're using, in geosynthetics, we're using that, let's say, characteristic of plastics, which are long durability, as an advantage instead of using it for single-use products.
Yeah, but we also, I think the technology have changed so much, and we've become, the research have gone so far through the great work like Kerry Rowe and George and Bob Kerner, and Calvin Legg in South Africa. We know what affects the longevity or which could possibly shorten the service life of these materials. So I really think it's a very valuable tool for any engineer to be able to use and add geosynthetics, into a structure, because we know so much about it now.
Absolutely.
And again, back to that, it's not an alternative anymore. I really believe it's something that can be used, as the first option.
Yeah,
that should be used.
Yeah, that should be the way forward. To be honest. No, that's a good concept actually. In our industry, we're talking about. We should probably stop or avoid talking about this is an alternative, or there has been like more than 40 years of history behind all of these products. So it's financially and economically and sustainability is like there are many reasons, and engineering wise, it does really make sense.
From a sustainability point of view, the amount of construction traffic you reduce, by just using a GCL or a geogrid instead of, or a filter fabric instead of natural materials, it's thousands of tons of CO2 emissions that you're eliminating from the environment. It's to me it's a no-brainer. And I think as we move towards more sustainable solutions, and when we're becoming more aware of greenhouse gases and the effect of those on us as a society, geosynthetics can definitely add benefit. We reduce and we become more sustainable by using these materials.
Of course, sure. My next question, Morne, is about when you talked about your career and moving different parts of the world, and then working with different people, and I think one important role that you have at the moment as the leader of the business in Australia is really empowering people and looking at their goals and initiatives and basically strategic initiatives that you can actually find as goals or objectives for the business moving forward. How do you do that in your day-to-day role, and what are your opinions about that?
Before, my earlier career was obviously predominantly sales, and I've had to transfer and move into a role where I now have a team of people that we need to get to move into a certain direction. And I love the concept of empowering people, providing them with the resources that is required for them to achieve their goals, obviously in line with what the commercial and company goals would be. But it is helping people to identify their strengths and weaknesses, helping them to apply their strengths and helping them to work on their weaknesses, so those no longer are a weakness but possibly even can become a strength. And then just having the opportunity to work with people and getting them into the right right locations for the company, working on putting together strategies, working with different personalities, different industries, making sure that you have the right person for a specific outcome that you would try and achieve. And I love to think that I've surrounded myself with a team of people in Australia where we definitely are able to achieve very aggressive growth. We have already almost doubled the size of Australia in the 4 and a bit years that we have been here, and that's I have to give all credit to the team, and what they've achieved and how hard they work, and the dedication that they've shown. And it's also just treat people fairly. I'm a great believer in that, and it's like the Richard Branson saying. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but you treat your employees properly, and your team properly, and they will look after your clients. So I believe the world will be a better place if more people can take that view.
Absolutely.
And just helping people grow. People want to grow. Most people want to get better at what they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that the key there is probably aligning individual goals to the company or business goals, and then once they're aligned,
then you can pull in the same direction and achieve and really grow for both the individual and the company.
Yeah,
only one way is forward and up.
Of course. Very good. And my last question, as any of the other podcast episodes, Morne, is about your highlights or your career highlights. So you have experienced many different countries, worked in different cultures, traveled quite a bit, and obviously a lot of experience. So what is your highlight and why do you think that's?
It's actually, you touched on it earlier, and I wanted to say, the highlight of my career is there's not one specific moment. I believe it's the people that I was lucky enough to come into contact with, work for some of them, or just operate with some of them. I mean, a person like Calvin Legg, he really inspires me. He's really played a large, you might not even know it, but he's played a large part of my career. Like I said, Mike Whitman, the financial director at Aquitaine, the guy I worked for, he played a large part in the way my career shaped up. And then there's various other people, and then I have to give my wife some kudos as well. We've been corporate nomads for a very, very long time. And without her support, it would not have been possible for our family to be as strong as we are, and for us to be where we are today. She supported me all the way through. So it's not one specific thing. And then I think the defining moment is when I went from road construction into geosynthetics. And it was like I said, almost 20 years ago now. And I just fell in love with it, and I can't wait to see where we're going to be in another 20 years from now in terms of how far geosynthetics is coming, with the developments of smart geotextiles and all these different raw materials that we can use, and all the additional materials we can add to geosynthetics, the systems we're developing. So the whole development of the industry, it's very exciting, I think.
Exactly. No, that's great actually. People are, the whole industry is sort of, the pillars are really the people.
Absolutely.
The products, the solutions, they're all sort of depending on the people and how innovative, how passionate they are about this.
People's passions, yes.
Absolutely.
If somebody's passionate, they develop it. And like you just said, we have really passionate people in this industry. That is, both old and young. It's good to see there's a young crowd of people coming through.
Exactly.
Because at one point there was the old guard and no one was really sure what was going to happen. But it's good to see the younger crowd coming through, and I think our industry can only go from strength to strength.
Exactly. 100% agree. Very good. That was great. Morne, thanks a lot for being with us today and talking to me and my audience. Thanks to the audience who watched us or listening to the audio podcast. And we will catch you in our next episode. Thank you.
Thank you, Siamak.